You should fail! You should fail something! Without feelings, you're nothing. You're just second-rate mimics of a higher organism. That's right, a higher organism. We're your superiors in your capacity to love. Without compassion, you're a doomed species. Hi guys, Christopher Gomez here. Thought I'd give you a little bit of a Reeve thing going on here. That's why I'm doing this in the car. I didn't want to scare the neighbors. But welcome to another, welcome to another horror unboxing. And from my last video, I announced that while I was away for the weekend that I was going to unbox some stuff related to Village of the Damned. And I was doing that video from the shooting locations of where John Carpenter shot his 1995 remake, which is cool. I thought I'd, spice it up a little bit. And yeah, so while I was away over the weekend, I got a notification that some stuff came in the mail, and I'm here to do that. And let's see what we have. Drop my scissors. Where did it go? Now, the first... Excuse me for just a moment. Okay. The first package came in a very weird envelope, especially for what I assume is a DVD. So let's open this one up first since it's cumbersome. This one was the one that came in the mail first anyways. Losing my voice a little bit. I don't know why. Well, I just came out of a acting class earlier, so it might have something to do with it. And then once I open these, I'll discuss a little bit about the films. It's not much to write home about. They're just DVDs, and usually I like to do videos of unpacking things that are kind of unique and collectibles, stuff like that. Cool. Widescreen, awesome. This is the DVD for John Carpenter's 1995 remake of Village of the Damned, starring Superman and the Joker, or Superman and Luke Skywalker. I throw in more of a DC kind of thing going. Very cool. And let's take a look at the other package, and then I'll discuss the movies a little bit. Losing my scissors again. Yes. Perfect. I got a very cool DVD double feature of the original 1960 Village of the Damned and its sequel, Children of the Damned. Now, I'm particularly excited about this one because of these three movies, I have not seen Children of the Damned. So it'll be quite a new experience for me. And it's got special features too. Commentary. Very cool. Very cool. Now, this will be, and I got them, at the same time. I got these DVDs at the same time over the weekend. And I was just talking with one of my best friends about it. So, it's kind of nostalgic, and we hadn't seen the sequel. Now, like I said, I've seen the original and I've seen the remake. And what's cool is that I think the remake is a little bit underrated. They do some, take some modern liberties with the original movie. The main antagonist, the leader of the children, was a little boy, and in the remake it's a little girl. And the gender is irrelevant because I think both performances, the execution of either works well. As for the girl in the remake, I think towards the end of the movie she was a little too on the nose with being outwardly evil, that it kind of contradicted the whole lack of emotion thing. But nevertheless, good performances. I love the ensemble cast of the remake. What are some of the other differences? Oh, for some strange reason in the original movie, they kind of obscure the fact that the kids are probably aliens or some sort of alien life form. And in the remake, they don't shy away from that. The other cool thing about the remake too is that even though this was made in the 90s, it's really not that gory. I mean, there's a few there's a couple of gory deaths, but for the most part, they're usually either off screen or done through the power of suggestion, the theater of the mind, which John Carpenter is I it's something that I've come to expect from John Carpenter films, especially like his earlier work, like Halloween, where it doesn't rely on gore; it relies more on suspense. Um, yeah, and the cool thing about the remake is that he shot it in the same area that he shot The Fog. So that's another little cool tidbit. And this was one of the last films that Christopher Reeve did before he was paralyzed in a horse accident. And yeah, it really sucks. He does an awesome job in this. What other anecdotes can I give? My parents were fortunate enough to have met Christopher Reeve, which was really cool. And they described him as a very humble guy. And yeah, he just seemed like one of those like classy, mature actors who was there to do the work. He wasn't as, he didn't have that whole Hollywood pretentiousness. And I think that could be part of him being the breed of one of those like New York actors. Anyways, great job. But I do have to say though that I feel like the kids in the original film, there's something creepier about them, especially when their eyes light up. I think it's because of the fact that it's an older movie in black and white. Yeah, it's done through opticals, but you don't really know how they did it, the whole eye glowing thing. Whereas in the remake, it's done through CG, and for the past 20 years, he can do anything in CG. And which kind of adds to the creepiness of the original. And there's a really creepy shot, without spoiling anything. The end credits of the original is kind of creepy because they show just the eyes of the kids kind of floating out into the darkness. It was for artistic purposes. That's nothing to take literally, but it was cool that they did that. I thought it was really, really interesting. I'm really curious to see about Children of the Damned, because from Children of the Damned, I think they've expanded it to include different ethnicities. So I think that'll be cool. Another, other differences between the original film and the remake is that in the original and in the novel that it's based on, it takes place in the English countryside. And in the remake, it takes place up in Northern California, which in some ways is perfect because Northern California does have that English countryside vibe to it. It's one of the reasons why Alfred Hitchcock filmed a lot of his movies up there. Shadow of the Doubt, The Birds, all that. And yeah, what else could I say? I think that's about it. I'm sure I'm probably forgetting. Oh, yeah, the other cool thing about the remake is that in the original, because of British censors and just the social climate back then, they really couldn't use the word pregnancy or discuss topics like abortion, things like that, which is kind of a weird thing to kind of beat around the bush when you're dealing with a story where people being impregnated and going into labor is such a huge element of that story. And thankfully with the remake, they don't shy away from that, and they do integrate it into the story, or at least the terminology. The terminology is mentioned. Yeah, and the other cool thing about the remake too is that I think it's underrated, but I think one of the reasons why it didn't do so well was because one, it's a remake, and two, you could kind of tell that it was a little bit on a budget, and they try to pass it off as something a little bit more. Um, I think that people were expecting a gore fest, and that's really not Carpenter's style. Um, it was expected in movies like The Thing, where it was a shape shifting life form, and so that was definitely going to be much more effects heavy. And I think people were kind of expecting that, and you didn't get that in Village of the Damned. And the other reason why I think it didn't do so well is because a common complaint that I heard was that it really doesn't do anything different than what the original did. I disagree and I challenge that because they did take some liberties with the story, other than the setting, other than changing the gender of the leader. I do like the twist with one of the boys who um, doesn't have his counterpart to walk alongside of. And so it kind of alludes to that maybe there's a possibility that he can develop human emotions, which I thought was a cool twist. And so, yeah, I disagree with that. I think they did touch upon, I think it did take some liberties to kind of change it up a bit. I don't want to go on forever, but I think that's about it. And yeah, thanks for whoever's watching out there. And looking forward to popping these in. This will definitely have me go down memory lane. And very cool to see this movie, the sequel. And there's some minor differences. There's some pros and cons between the original and the remake. There's some sequences that they duplicate in the remake that I thought were better in the original film, such as the way how certain there's a scene where a woman puts her arm in a boiling pot, and I thought that it was framed better in the original, and I was surprised that it wasn't shot as well in the remake, considering that it's John Carpenter. But they're just like minor grievances. I thought the ending was better in the remake because they really drew out that suspense between the teacher and the kids inside the barn. Whereas in the original, it's just like a quick one and done thing. But yeah, I'm going to digress. I guess I'm going to pop these in right now. Memory lane, and curious to see what the sequel delivers. So take care, and hopefully I'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching.